Tina and I am back. If this is your first time visiting my channel and you like what you see, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you are a returning subscriber and a long-time viewer, welcome back. Today we are doing a fall inspired orangey warm toned look. I think you're probably sick of seeing these by now, but I'm never really sick of doing them. And I'm pulling out a new palette from Viseart. This is their Golden Hour palette. There are 9 shadows in this palette, and 5 of them are shimmer, 4 of them are matte. And this is new to Sephora, and it's different packaging for Viseart. They changed the packaging, added a mirror. It's really sleek and cute. And of course, I pulled out one of my favorite palettes from Viseart, which is their dark mattes palette. So we're putting that to use on the eyes. I also have some Funkhouser new brushes and some pigments to play with. So we're going to put those to the test, as well as some other products that I've been testing out that I recently received. So if you want to see how I accomplish this look, then stay tuned and I'll talk to you soon. Alright guys, so as usual, I'm starting off with a fresh, cleanly washed face. And I did already fill in my eyebrows because we've already done that many times, so we can skip that portion of the tutorial. But the first thing I'm going in with is some moisturizer, and for this I'm using the It Cosmetics Secret Sauce. I was so tempted to buy this, guys. I was like, alright, am I gonna get it? Am I gonna get it? And then when they sent this to me, I was like, yes, I get to try it out. They released a bunch of new products, and this was the one that I was most interested in. And they sent me a gigantic PR package with a ton of their products in it, but this one wasn't included. And I was planning on picking it up. Actually, I was planning on picking it up this week because I kept seeing it on the Sephora website, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to get that. This is a moisturizer from them. It says it's a luxurious moisturizer that utilizes powerful fermented ingredients and gives you clinically tested anti-aging radiance boosting results. Who doesn't want that? It also says it's combined with proprietary drops of light technology, which is trademarked by It Cosmetics, and diamond powder, which delivers a youthful, lit from within glow. What? And it's good for all skin types. So of course I was like, oh my god, I need to try this out. Now it's very hydrating. I already feel it. It's a very creamy product. It does look hydrated. I do look glowy, right? Like I look glowy. I don't know. We'll see how this goes, but that's one product that I was excited in trying out. Anyway, moving on. Spoke too much about that product already. Let's go ahead and do some primer on the eyelids. You know, the good old Urban Decay anti-aging primer potion. Then we're gonna go ahead and do some concealer action under the brows. You know, the drill. It's my Urban Decay Ultra Definite, no. This is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Weightless Complete Coverage Concealer. I'm using the shade Dark Neutral. I think you know by now what I do. I just outline the underside of my brows just to create the shape and definition and blend it downward. Before we blend out the excess though, I'm going to grab this Smashbox Photo Finish Lid Primer in the shade Medium and apply that on my lids. This is going to help give us a base. It's not the concealer itself, it's actually a primer. So it will even out the lids with the skin tone shade, but it will also act as a primer for eyeshadows. So I'm just going to blend that all over my lids using my Real Techniques Deluxe crease brush just to get rid of the excess and to make sure that it's nice and even. And also blend it right on that inner tear duct area where I tend to get very dark. And I'm grabbing my Fenty Beauty Sponge and I'm just going to dab that over my eyelids to make sure everything is nice and seamless. And then I'm going to grab some of my Sacha Buttercup Powder. That's what it's called, right? Setting powder. This is the yellow tone powder that I am highly afraid to use. Look how yellow it is. I understand that the yellow undertone is good for darker skin, but I feel like it may be a little bit too yellow and it will come off too banana on me. So I'm just going to press it over my eyelids to set everything in place so we have a nice smooth canvas for our eyeshadows and nothing is overly tacky and grabbing onto our eyeshadows. Now I'm going to grab 2 palettes from Viseart. I have the Dark Mattes, which I absolutely love, and then I have one of their newest releases, if not their newest release. This is the Golden Hour palette. This is exclusive to Sephora. 1, 2, 4 of the shades are matte, and then 5 of them are shimmery. I'm not the biggest fan of Viseart shimmer shades, but I'll show you swatches right here so you can check it out. They're not usually the most shimmery or frosty shades that I have tested. They're not very impressive in that way. They're like a downplayed shimmer, which is more wearable for most people, so I don't mind that. I just know that they're not the most impressive shimmer shades, but I do like them for a more toned down look. So I'm gonna start out with my dark mattes palette, and I think I'm gonna go in with this orangey tone, which is like a pumpkin spice shade, because we're in fall and stuff, or soon to be. And grabbing it on my Eddie Funkhouser brush, I'm just gonna lightly buff it in that outer crease area. I'm very lightly, like picking up very little and just barely touching it on my skin. And these shadows have great pigmentation, so they build up pretty nicely. You don't have to use a lot of it, and they still blend out without being choppy or chalky. So I'm just gonna pop a little bit of that on the crease area, just on the inner crease, outer crease, but I'm keeping the concentration of color just on that inner area and on the outer area, and then I will fade the color inwards to the center. So I put the most concentration on the inner and outer, and then just blend back and forth using windshield wiper motion, and that's gonna give us a nice seamless blend of color. That color is so good. I want to build it up, so I'm just gonna add more and slowly pull it upwards to the brow bone, and I'm just concentrating on that outer lid for a minute, just making sure that everything is nice and seamless there before I continue. Pulling it up. I don't want the color to go too far up, so I'm just lightly touching my skin and going back and forth to build that color up. I think I'm gonna add just a little bit on that inner lid and just work it in, not too much. Kind of just concentrate it right where my socket line is, so it doesn't really go all the way up. Then I'll grab a smaller brush. This is the A25 blending brush from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm gonna pick up the deeper orange shade, just a touch. This one is more of a reddened orange, and I'm gonna just really carefully dab it on that outer crease and concentrating it just in the hollow of my crease, so right where my eye sinks in. I'm using that as my guide to deposit the color, and then just go back and forth, use circular motions, buffing motions to concentrate that color. And I'm lightly going to build it up because, again, these colors are pretty intense, so you don't need to pack too much on. You can just barely tap it and you get a lot of color payoff. And you see I'm using light motions to build it up. The key about blending is to do it slowly, especially when you're working with pigmented shades. And what I do is I have a washcloth right in my lap, and I'll just clean my brush off lightly in that washcloth before I go in and blend around the edges. So you see we have a nice fade. All right, now I'm gonna pull a little bit of that on the outer lid now to build that up. Ooh. This orange is, I love this palette so much because the colors are just so beautiful. They're so easy to work with. They're not muddy. They're just so gorgeous. I love these. Now I'm gonna grab a really small crease brush. This is from Eddie Funkhouser with that dark orange, and just lightly pop it on the inner lid. I'm not pulling it too far in, and I'm staying away from the very inner tear duct with this color. Just buffing that in. And this brush, it's not a pencil brush, but it's a small crease brush, and it really gets into those areas, those tight spots really well. So if you have small eyes or you like to do detailed work, this is a great brush to have. All right, now it's time for the Golden Hour palette, and I want to grab this red shade here. It's a matte. I'm grabbing it on a 232 brush from Smith Cosmetics, and I'm gonna apply that on the outer lid now. Just going over where we already have the lighter shade, and we're using circular motions, just light buffing motions. Ooh, it's so pretty. And building it up. Now, the thing that I don't love about reds on my eyes is that they could go muddy really quick, or they can just look very sickly. And I found that with the Modern Renaissance palette, like the reds in there, there's something about the undertones or the base color of them that tries to go brown on me. And then they do this purpley muddy look that I don't know what's happening, but it doesn't look too great. This red is really doing well. I like that. And I'm cleaning off my brush as I go and then lightly blending around the color to get a nice fade and gradient. And I'm grabbing my little detail brush again, and we're gonna pop that on the inner lid, but I'm going a little further inwards now so we still have that orange popping out. And we're gonna do a little bit of fading of that orange on the outer lid as well. But for this part, I don't want to do too much blending, so I'm just moving a little bit further in so we don't have to really blend any more orange on that inner tear duct. And then what I'm gonna do is mix the lighter orange that we used and then the deeper orange, mix them together on that larger Eddie Funkhouser brush and just go around the edge just to make sure the orange kind of blows out around the crease. So it's a C shape, but it's more blown out. And then we'll go back in and intensify the red. But I want the orange to show through more. So I'm just kind of creating a haze. Now what I'm doing is grabbing a little bit of this deep red here from the Dark Mattes palette and mixing it in with the red from the Golden Hours palette on the Anastasia number 825 brush. And again, just building up the dimensions slowly, nothing too crazy. And then grab that Eddie Funkhouser brush. This is a clean one. And I'm going to go around the crease and the edges just to clean everything up. Make sure everything is nice and blended. Now that I have the shape and I have the outline just how I want it, I'm going to go in and build up some color now. So I'm using an eyeshadow brush from Eddie Funkhouser. Picking up the reds, the deep red from the Dark Mattes and the red from the Golden Hour, and now packing it on where we had it before. And this is just building up the color because I already have the blend down, so now I'm just building up pigmentation. And I like to do this after I get my blend because this way I know exactly where I need to add color and what I need to apply, like the intensity, without disrupting the blend itself. Like it's still nice and blended and there's a great gradient, and I don't have to worry too much about the blend anymore. I just want to build up the color. Now remember how we left the center of the lid a little bit bare and the center of the crease? I'm gonna grab a little touch of those deep oranges and apply it just to the very center of the crease where we didn't have any color before. Like we went really light there, and apply it and just lightly go around it just so everything blends together and we have a little pop of color there, but we didn't really build up any color in that area. We just gave it a very light blend, right? You picking up what I'm putting down? Are you picking it up? Pick it up. Now for the fun part that I'm a little bit nervous about, but I'm going to grab a small Eddie Funkhouser eyeshadow brush. This is a very tiny shadow brush. Spritz it with a little bit of my primer water from Smashbox. And I'm going back into the Golden Hours palette. I am going to grab the orange shade. Just a touch of it. And what I'm going to do with this orange is apply it to the outer edges of the center where we left blank. Just leaving a little bit of blank space. Very little at the very center and lower part. But I'm applying the orange around most of it, but I'm leaving just a little gap because we want to put a pop of color there. And I'm very lightly pressing this color onto the lid. Oh, that's so pretty too. It's shimmery, but it's not overly shimmery. Very nice. Now this color, like I said, isn't too intense, but this primer water will help to intensify it a bit. Before that dries, I'm going to go in with this beautiful shimmery light gold shade. The shades from the Golden Hour palette actually all have names, but they're all in French. And since my French isn't up to date, I'm not going to attempt to say any of them. I'm I'm just gonna pop that little gold right where we left a little bit of space on the lower center of the lid. Same brush, just to give a little bit more intensity and shine. Now that I'm happy with the placement, I need to go ahead and do some blending because the harshness of these edges is not okay. I'm grabbing the Funkhouser large shader brush, the eyeshadow brush, and now just go around the edges of the shimmer shade. Just kind of doing buffing motions to blend that in with the matte shades. So see, we faded out those harsh edges into a nice blown out look. And then of course we can go back in and add a little bit of the red, a little bit of the dark colors to really make sure the final look is nice and blended. The center of the lid just isn't popping as much as I want it to, so I'm actually gonna grab this pigment here. It's a Hyper Real Pure Pigment from Funkhouser in the shade Catchlight. He sent this to me to try out. It's a loose pigment and it has a little bit, it's like a white loose pigment, but it has a gold shift to it. So I'm applying that, you know what, to the center of the lid. Just to give a little bit more sheen, a little bit more shine. Ooh. Can you stand this right now? So Eddie reached out to me months ago when I first mentioned his products. And, you know, he was just happy that I talked about his products. And we've been talking back and forth. And he sent me some of his products to try out. And I'm happy to do that. He sent me some more of his brushes. So I'm trying them out. And oh my god, this pigment, like, it's, even though I'm blending around it, it's not losing its intensity. And now it's giving me, that's what I needed. You see how it still retains the shine and intensity? He did also give me a discount code for you guys. It's not an affiliate code. I don't make commission off of the sale. It's a discount code where if you wanted to pick up any of his brushes or his products, that you can shop on his website with the discount code. So it's fancyface20 and you save 20% off your entire purchase. So that's good. Again, not an affiliate code, but oh my god. That pigment, Eddie? Yes, sir. Thank you so very much. Now I'm going to go back into the Golden Hour palette and I'm going to grab the shade here, which is the light champagne gold. This is Beverly. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I'm going to pop that on that inner tear duct area. And I'm using the small crease brush from Funkhouser again, which is, I think, one of my favorite brushes from him because it's bigger than a pencil brush and it gives you the ability to get right into those little fine detail spots. And I feel like that is not as shimmery as I want. What is going on? I shouldn't say what's going on. I should know that the Viseart shades aren't really intense. So I'm going to pop a little bit of that same Funkhouser pigment. You see how much more intense that is now? It is a loose pigment, so it's going to be a little bit more intense. But that's the pop that I need right there. And just do circular motions to pop that and blend it together with the other shades. But I'll go back into the Golden Hours palette and grab the matte cream shade. And I'm going to pop that right beneath my brow as my highlight. And I love a matte light shade under the brow because even though it can look stark, because it's matte, it's not going to be too intense. And I'll just blend that out. So you see, even though it's a bright cream shade, it doesn't look too intense because it has no sheen to it. Alright, so now let's go ahead and do some face makeup. I'm actually going to grab the Sephora 10-Hour Wear Perfection Foundation. I have the shade 55 Deep, which is Cocoa. That one's a lot deeper than my skin tone, so I'm going to grab some of my Fenty Beauty number 330 Pro Filt'r foundation. This is thin, it's watery, and it's a little bit more light and yellow. So we're going to mix those two together and apply it to my skin. Now, I don't know about you, but I love mixing foundations. It's just a thing that I got into when I had to mix to match my shade. I ended up just starting to mix formulas together. So if there's a formula that I don't necessarily love or a shade that I don't necessarily love, instead of mixing it with a lighter color from the same line, I would just go ahead and mix it with a different foundation altogether, one that I really like or one that I think would balance it out. So for this foundation, I feel like it's a little bit thicker, it's a little bit heavier, and the Fenty Beauty foundation is a little bit more lightweight. So I feel like they'll balance each other out. And then the Sephora one is a little bit creamier, so it will balance out any dryness that the Fenty Beauty one has. That's a good way to use foundations up too. Not that I've really ever used foundation up. I have a hard time using things up, guys, because I try so many things. I'm always trying new things, which I need to get better at, just using products up rather than trying the next thing on the market. And that's my plan for the rest of the year, to try to use up a lot of my products. Now while that sets on my skin, I'm gonna grab one of the matte sticks from Fenty Beauty. This is the shade Caramel. And I'm gonna apply that under my eyes. And I know I said in my review that I wouldn't recommend using these under your eyes, but that's if you're using a full-on matte foundation with a matte primer and a matte everything. But since I use that secret sauce from IT Cosmetics, which is meant to be very hydrating, I feel like I can get away with this matte stick now. So I'm applying that under the eyes and then blending it out with the beauty sponge from Fenty. I like this sponge a lot. I find that it's very springy and I like the flat side of it. I know people are like, the flat side leaves marks. I've heard people say that in their reviews and I'm like, how? If you're just pouncing it, it shouldn't really be leaving marks. But I love how the matte sticks blend out. I just feel like they get creasy under the eyes, but I'm gonna try it out with, because I like the finish of it. I like how lightweight it is. I like how not overly pigmented it is either. Like, it's more of a sheer coverage, a light to sheer coverage, so I don't feel too cakey. So I don't know, that's just how I feel. That's how I'm gonna feel. So we have that down. I'm going to grab one of the new shades that I picked up. I grabbed the shade Cocoa, and I'm gonna use this as, oh, that's more of a bronzer for me, right? So I can use that on my hairline. I think, yeah, okay. Here is my contour shade. This is Truffle. That's right. That's right. I have just been liking these. I know that people have been saying that they love the bronzing shades and the contour shades, and I agree 100%. Like, this blended out like nothing. Like, look at that. Did I even blend? That's how nicely they blend out. And this is just my, what is it called? You know, the Artiste brush. This one is number, which one? 7, oval 7. But you see, like, I'm barely blending this and it's just blending out so effortlessly. And I just really like it. Now, in the sake of trying out products, I'm gonna try the powder now. The, what is it called? Sacha Buttercup powder under my eyes. Using the dampened sponge, which I prefer to use with setting powders, loose setting powders, because I feel like it helps the powder to absorb better into my skin. And I'm just pressing it into my skin. It doesn't look too yellow, I don't think. Do you think it looks too yellow? You tell me. Now for the lower waterline, I'm going to use a dark purple liner. This is the Always On Gel Eyeliner from Smashbox in the shade Nymph. Just popping that on the waterline and running a little bit of that so it comes down a bit on the lower lash line. And then we'll grab a MAC 242 just to go against the lower lash line so that blends out. In the Dark Mattes palette, we have this purple shade, so I'm just going to grab it on the tip of the 242 and go right along the lower lash line area, just on the outer lower lash line. And for some reason, I'm feeling like taking a bit of the blue, so I'm going to take the blue that's right under the purple, and I'm going to pop it on the inner lower lash line. And then I'll just go in with a blending brush just to go around the very edges to make sure it's nice and smoked out. And then I'll just pop a little bit of the gold pigment from Funkhouser just to make sure that everything ties in together. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish up the eyes with some mascara. So I'm applying my Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara to my upper lashes just to give them some fullness before we go in with our false eyelashes. And for my lower lashes, I'm using my MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash Mascara because it is my favorite lower lash mascara. For my lashes, I am using these from Outer Beauty. These are Mink lashes. They're the B Alluring collection and the style is Heartbreaker. They're very simple, just winged eyelashes. They're not too long or overwhelming, so I really like them for this look because they won't overpower it. And now I'm going to go ahead and finish up my face with some powder. This is my Urban Decay Ultra Definition Powder Foundation. The shade is Medium Dark Golden. Just pressing that into my skin, all over my skin using my Tarte Powder Player Brush. And for my blush, I'm using this from the Sephora collection. It's the shade Too Hot. It's number 7. It's just a peachy coral shade. More on the orange tone side. For my highlight, I want to use this holographic highlighting powder from Milk Makeup. It's the shade Mars. And I'm just popping that on the high points of my cheeks using my Inglot 4SS brush. It's a beautiful peachy pink shade. And it doesn't reflect like a strong yellow or anything. It's a very pinky undertone. So it gives a really beautiful pop to the cheeks. And I'm a little bit torn because I want to use a touch of this highlighter from Fenty Beauty. It's the shade Metal Moon. It's the lighter shade. And I just want to put a touch of that on top of the Mars highlight. I don't know, I just feel like I want to put a little bit on to give a little bit of like a spotlight glow. And now that I'm at it, like I want to add a little bit of that to the brow bone. Just a little bit. I even want to put a little bit of the Mars one. The Mars shade is so pretty. I want to pop a little bit onto to give a little bit of a pinky reflect as well. The shade just gives a really bright look to that under eye, and it has a little bit of a duochrome effect. For the lips, I want to keep it kind of low-key and still in the orangey family, so I'm going in with this shade here from Urban Decay. It's the shade Backseat, and it's one of their cream finish lipsticks. This is so creamy, so beautiful. It's a beautiful orangey tone, but it's muted, so it's like an orangey nude. Really, really pretty. And it's really opaque in one swipe. I really love it, and it's comfortable. It's a very comfortable formula. And then I'll top that off with a little bit of Fenty Glow Lip Gloss from Rihanna, because why not? It's such a beautiful gloss, and just a little bit goes a long way. So I'm just tapping that in the center and blending it in with this lip color to give a very juicy look. Alright guys, so here you have it. Here is the completed look, which I absolutely adore. I love these warmer colors for the fall. I love them on my eyes, and I really think they make my brown eyes pop. And as usual, I put a pop of color on the lower lash line just because I feel like that's the thing that can really make your eyes sing. I just really loved how this overall look came out. I love how everything blended, how everything applied. And as usual, I'm going to go ahead and leave a full list of the products used and mentioned in this video down below. I will also leave links on where you can pick them up. Most of those links, if you shop through Sephora or Ulta, happen to be affiliate links, which means I do get a small sales commission if you shop through my links. If you're not comfortable with that, I completely understand. Just shop how you normally shop online or in store. But if you do shop through my links, thank you so much for your support, because it does help me to put back into the channel. And yeah, I will leave links to my Instagram and Twitter as well, where you should be following me along. And until my next video, which will be very soon, I'll talk to you. Bye guys.